Let's go. Our first live in the books. Come on. I just shot my first live on YouTube. Well, I've been live on YouTube before, but this was the first live on this account in this way, in this format, for this purpose. So thank you for everybody that tuned in. Well, really the one person, Teresa. Shout out my lady, always keeping me straight when we had our dropouts and whatnot. Uh, and encouraging me. Thank you for everyone who will watch this. And if you are interested in seeing what I'm talking about, I talked about my journey through music, through movies, through media, and the spiritual journey that I'm on now, and why I took a step back from all of those different crafts and creative pursuits in my life to create something that's meaningful to me at this moment in time. So, hey, go check it out, if you are interested. And I look forward to seeing you on the inside of the academy. Peace. So, peace. My name is MYCOL, if you didn't know. And welcome to the first progress report. This is rough, boy. This is the whole reason why I wanted to do this, to be honest, because I want to give a more up close and personal look at, what I'm working on and how I really am planning to provide and actually providing value to myself, my family, community, and, extension to the outer universe. And one way that I see, like, a lot of people, online is like it's such inauthenticity going on, where a lot of people are in the midst of trying to prove themselves, and in an aspect of, like, there's so much performership going on these days. And I want to offer something different to not only my ecosystem, but also I feel like the other ecosystems that could benefit from what I have to offer and who I am, most importantly. And who am I? MYCOL. I am, I'm a musician, I'm a model, I'm a movie maker, I'm an actor, a poet, a son, a brother, a partner, a man of God. I am a community member. I'm for now a St. Louisan, and honestly, I'm an all around explorer, man. I'm a visionary. I am a light bearer. I'm a blind spotter, bro. And all of these titles, they matter, but they don't matter. But you'll learn more about what they mean as we continue to build this relationship. Yet, what's cool about who I am is that I've been on a journey to discover myself since I came out the womb. As we all have. This ain't nothing that, you aren't doing as well. Yet, I want to be a beacon of light, you know? I want to be a beacon of light for all of my other people out there who are, like, searching to belong, and searching for purpose, and searching for their calling, and searching for a community of people that believe in the work that they do and want to make a change in the world, yet might not know how to do it, might not know what the next step is, might not even know what that is, might not even know they want to make a change. They know they want to be a part of something that's positive, and whatever they have been doing isn't working anymore. And I know I have a lot of those beacons of light in my life, and the one thing that's consistent with all of who are a beacon of light in their lives, and they share so much of their personal lives, their professional lives, and even some of their spiritual lives, as well as their creative, just doing what they do, yet doing it with aspirations for, it's on a timer. I appreciate it. Doing it in aspiration for being better for themselves, for the people who they directly impact, as well as the people in their lives that, look up to them as well. So, yeah. With that being said, let's get into what this progress report is about. That's kind of like a little brief introduction, shall we say. Uh, but yeah, so hello everyone. My name is MYCOL again. And today I wanted to share a progress report on who I am, which I just shared a little bit. If not, you'll get to know me on this journey, and then where I am in life, and then also like where I am and what I'm building to be of value to you. So first is where am I in life? Man, I am I'm in a space of experimentation and exploration. I've been in multiple industries now where it's the job industry. You know, I've been into the music industry. And when I say these industries, of course, it's local to where I am. Yet, nevertheless, I've had a lot of experiences in them and can speak to the expertise of my experience. I've been in the local music industry as well as the media industry, so being the one behind the camera, not in front of the camera. And now I'm getting into, I've also dabbled into the spiritual industry as well, where I am locally and globally, to be honest. I mean, I've touched base with people in London and, all over the world. So let's speak on music first. And originally I had a whole presentation of how I was gonna go about this video, but I mean, we here now. This might be what we doing. If y'all rocking with it, you drop a comment, let me know like, hey, we here for it, keep it rolling. So within music, my journey in music starts after high school. And with that, in the duration of school, I had a lot of ups and downs, challenges. I'm sure like a lot of people, I didn't quite know where I fit in within school, but I did know that there was always potential for more. I just didn't quite know how to access it and what I had to do in order to access it. So upon graduating high school, it came a time where I wanted to be able to make a change. I just felt like I was just coasting in life. And I knew at that rate, if I just coasted, I would have been here and gone. And like, I didn't do anything meaningful. And I didn't want to die knowing that I didn't do anything meaningful with my life. And with that, as well as I felt like I had been through negative experiences based on my life circumstances, that I was like, there's gotta be more to this thing called life. So what happened, man? I really went through like a existential crisis of like asking myself those questions. Who am I? What am I here to do? And what does this all mean? And I, like many of us nowadays, went on the internet looking for answers, hitting that Google, asking myself questions like, what does it mean to be yourself? Or like, how do you find yourself? Even asking questions like, what is the purpose of life? Just, existential questions that some people only ask themselves when they on their deathbed or they under the influence of a substance or they're inspired, something happened to them. And upon going on this journey, this new discovery, shall I say, I started to just listen, study, and I leaned into what felt right, because there was a lot of people who didn't look like me discussing things that didn't really relate to me about certain philosophies and, theoretical situations and even scientific, that I was like, okay, that's cool. I soaked up some of that game and that knowledge, but it didn't resonate at my core. So I still felt like I had to come across people who I could connect with. And eventually I came across the brother KRS-One, Knowledge Reigns Supreme. And he is a hip hop philosopher. He's a writer, MC. He's a historian. I mean, he's a pillar in the hip hop community, to keep it all the way a buck. And there's so many lectures that he has online that even the way he speaks, I was captivated. Beyond even what he was saying, just the way he was speaking. And I want to give a quick shout out to him real quick, because I invested in some literature recently, actually. If I had this straight out of high school, man, I don't know where I'll be right now, but regardless, I got it right now. This is the Gospel of Hip Hop, the first instrument presented by KRS-One for the Temple of Hip Hop. Temple of Hip Hop being like a social structure for people who want to preserve the history and the core essence of what hip hop was meant to be and what it's becoming. And this book has so many gems in it. I mean, I'm not that far in it. I have been doing some reading, but it's a special this is like a Bible for me, to be honest. Like, I remember the day I got this book, I knew it was going to change my life on what I would do with it, more specifically. Not just reading it would change my life, but the knowledge and wisdom and understanding and the principles that live on in this book would live on in me, and then I could pass on as well. So this is instrumental to what we'll get into later. And then this one as well, master your code. We'll get back to this one later, but this is instrumental as well. So yeah, back to KRS-One, and I'm gonna sip a little water in the meantime. KRS-One was someone that he was able to break down. He's a masterful storyteller. So he was able to break down very complex concepts in a way that was very understandable. Like, it felt like food. And it felt like it was taking time to digest inside of me. And I was like, finally, I came across somebody that was not only like speaking to things I wanted to aspire for and attain, and that felt like where I could direct focus towards. It was also resonating with where I was currently at that moment in time. But also it spoke to some of my past of like being influenced by hip hop music. So it checked off a lot of boxes for me. And from that moment forward, I said, okay, he's gonna be one of my teachers. I'm gonna learn from him. And then that just kind of, looking at him, on YouTube videos, it has recommendations. So a bunch of different people came up, like Bobby Hemmett, of course, Dr. Savy, of course, Tupac, that's a no-brainer, as well as Professor Griff. Like there were these hip hop scholars who were teaching knowledge beyond music, and it just impacted me deeper than just my ears. And by me doing all this research, studying, I was up till 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. and just, in the books online. And it opened my eyes to a world I didn't even know existed. And that's when I fell in love with hip hop, Like I fell in love with hip hop, the music genre, but that's when I fell in love with hip hop, the spiritual journey, the spiritual genre. And it changed my life, man. Hip hop truly saved my life, and it still is to this day. So that's around that time is when I decided that I wanted to have that impact on others as well. And I said, I'm gonna do it through hip hop music. So I went on a journey of producing music. I had already been writing like just journals, throughout the duration of my life, but I also started to write, throughout my younger years, wrote poetry. So I just used some of that. And from playing around in high school, rapping and stuff like that with the homies, I turned that into actually starting to put more intention into my penmanship when it came to music and rhythm and poetry or rap. And I sucked. I was not good at when I first started. Similar to this live, like it was not together. It was not masterful. The craftsmanship had not been developed yet, and I had a lot of learning to do. And in the midst of me learning, I was like, I really enjoy what this could be, but I don't like where it's at. And thankfully, I had people to do it with, to just, play around with. I had homies at the time that were willing to just write with me, produce with me, kind of like just talk about the concept, look at videos with me. And it was encouraging to not be doing it alone. And, on that journey, I started to discover some things that like, I had a way with words that no one around me really accessed the way I did. Everyone has a way with words, but in the sequence that I used them, I didn't hear other people putting them together in puzzles like I did. So I started to be like, this is interesting. And from that, I started to like just practice in my day-to-day life. Like I'll be freestyling, yet I started to use my MC or music mindset in everyday conversations with people and see how I could like put things together to spark something in them, but also like that felt pleasurable to the ear. So I just started playing with my voice, playing with my words, playing with my diction, playing with vocabulary, just a whole bunch of different ways, even body language and energy, And it really taught me how my life, I could learn from my life with a specific area, that just happened to be music. And I don't want to spend too much time here. I definitely want to come back to this topic and like really dive deeper on it, on different ways that I journeyed into it. But like eventually I kept just writing more, recording more, producing more, and just practicing. And that led me onto the journey of an old homie of mine being like, hey, we starting to make some good stuff, but how are we gonna get this out to the world now? And I didn't want to hear it at first, but after like a week or two pondering upon it, I was like, you know what, you're right. I can try and put out videos, I can try and put out the music, but if I don't know people in real life that I can like hand this to and like share this with them physically and they be impacted, how can I really make an impact? I can only do so much from the comfort of my own home. And I swallowed that pride and I went outside. And I joined some open mics and I got involved in the community. And when I got involved, I realized that, man, I still got a lot of learning to do. People are not just gonna coin me dope because I feel like I'm dope. Dope being just, cool, exemplary, excellent, brilliant, genius. And I was like, what else can I do to continue to meet people, but it not just be focused on me and my craft? So I got into modeling. I've been blessed with genes that look good on camera, just look good in real life. And I got involved with people like on Instagram at the time. I feel like there were these free photo shoots that were going on, and they would just invite people to come out because they wanted to test out their gear. So I would find a way there. I got involved with people who I used to go to school with, and we used to literally go to abandoned colleges, abandoned buildings, just places that were undesirable and go take pictures, bro. Go have adventures. And that opened my eyes up in a whole new way as well, because all these different creators were coming together. I'm talking about dancers, musicians, photographers, models, creative directors, just people of all the sorts who wanted to create in its simplest form, in its simplest way. And I was like, I can dig this. I can definitely be a part of something like this because it kept me inspired. No matter how much time it took, I always left feeling like I received something that could benefit me in my journey. So I kept going with it. And in the process of me doing that, I ended up coming across more people who did music. And then the journey just took off even further. So then I dove even more into modeling, but then I really was like, okay, I want to focus more on music. So as I meet more people with music, let me continue to hone my craft in private. So when I get in public, I have something I can show for and be proud of. And that's what happened. I mean, one thing turned to another. I turned and did more open mics. Those open mics turned into like studio sessions. Those studio sessions turned into jam sessions. Those jam sessions turned into small performances, ciphers. Like it just kept spiraling. And eventually I got onto shows. I started releasing my own music, a couple albums, and I started producing music with other people. And I started to become a local force within my own social circle of my community. And I made a name for myself in the music world. And then from that, I was like, what's next? What else can I do? So when I felt like I conquered a certain level of that, I was like, let me keep expanding. Music led me to modeling. Modeling led me back to music. What else can music take me to? Or what else can modeling take me to? So I knew that, when making music, you gotta have music videos. So I was like, let me start investing in what it's like to be in front of the camera. And that's when things really took a turn of like me getting involved with people who were producing things like from a cinematic level. And that's where I really started to see a turning point in my relationship with my artistry, because I was impacting people with my words, in the digital form and in the physical form, like in real life, yet to me, it still wasn't enough. And I was like, I gotta come with something else as well. So the modeling helped as well, just having cool pictures that people could look at and be like, oh, that's dope. But I was still masking. Now keep in mind, let's go back to what got me into music. This whole time I'm still studying spirituality. Like, what is my message though? Are people really receiving
the truth of what's in my craftsmanship here. I didn't feel like it was resonating. So I was like, how else can I impact people, beyond music? Because with music, before people listen, it got to be dope. It got to be a dope beat, dope bars, dope energy. Otherwise, they ain't even listening to it. So it don't matter how cold or how profound what you saying is. If it's not pleasurable, they're not gonna want to eat it. And I learned that quickly. So I got into some collaborations where people eventually wanted to feature me in their video shoots and eventually even getting into like short film work. And that's where I really started to see like I could impact people just with the look. I didn't even have to say anything, but just the way I looked and portrayed energy on screen in a moment, with dialogue, without dialogue, had an impact. And I was like, ooh, I got some here. Okay, and then I went on that journey some more. So that got me into like more movies and things of that nature. And then I was like, okay, what else can I do? I got to a certain level in that. And you're starting to see a pattern here, how like I reach a certain point, then I'm on to the next, reach a certain point, on to the next, because everything I wanted to do all along was just a stepping stone for what I started on, and that was like knowledge of self. So then it went on to, okay, I can do this in front of the camera. How can I do this behind the camera? I want to be able to produce these things myself and not have to depend on when a director or when a production company or when a creator wants me and their vision. How can I produce visions that other people want to be a part of, yet also I can produce for myself? And all the time I'm still working in music, still doing movies. Modeling kind of slowed down, but I would do it like here and there. And that's when 2020 happened eventually, and I got my last paycheck from one of the jobs, and I invested it all, not all, but I invested some of it in the camera. And I said, I'm gonna start creating my own content and seeing what's up with it and seeing what happens. So from that journey led to me learning about media and filmmaking and content and YouTube and, how to work a camera, what equipment do I need, what are the settings, and just playing around with it. And it ended up taking me on a journey to creating a production company that's still up and running and, helping me fund my life today. So I've been doing that. I started D-Links, which is the production company, in 2017. And it was heavily inspired again by the original, like knowledge of self and also self-love, because that's what I felt like I needed and wanted the most for me. So I wanted to be able to supply and share that with others. So D-Links was founded on those principles, DLINX, don't live in X, fear the unknown. Because I felt like my whole life leading up to that point, I was just living in fear, right up under the status quo. I would be great at something, like going back to school, but I would never really push through that threshold to be excellent. I just settled for being great. And I mean, even in retrospect now, I can see how this pattern has followed me throughout my different endeavors, from music to movies to even media now. And I'm in a position to where I want to use all these different crafts, yet I want to simplify them to get back to the intention of, yes, I can wow you, yes, I can entertain you, yet I would rather put my energy into enlightenment and education, because I feel like there's a lot of people who know how to get on a beat and say some words and make you dance or make you whatever, feel something. It's a lot of people who can turn on the camera and tell you something and like have you watch them and have you give them their attention. There's also a lot of people who can put together a production and like captivate you and make you feel something and make you buy something through commercials and programming. So it's like I've been learning all these different modalities of how psychology, sociology, works on even a corporation industry level by people I've been engaging with. And I'm like, but what does this all mean to me? Because I felt like I was just being a user in it, but I wasn't really using it. I was being used, and not used like I was being taken advantage of, because it was completely voluntary. More so in the way of, I feel like I was not really, I got away from my initial intention. My initial intention of knowledge of self and self-love. So I took a step back. From music, I pulled back all the way and said, after I dropped my last album, As Above, So Below, back in 2021, I said, that's the last thing I'm putting out before I get some direction on like where I really want to take this thing and where I want to go. And then even with movies, I was a part of a production company. I wasn't a part of them, but I was working with a production company, and I had an opportunity that could have took my career really to the next level, and as far as acting goes. And I was like, I gotta pull out because no, pause. I had to take a step back because I knew if I got too deep in it, I start seeing success in areas, and I would be more afraid of what I would lose the deeper I got. The more I got involved, the more I got engaged, and the more it got involved and engaged with me as far as the craft. And I was like, I know I have a gift here in movies and acting. I know I have a gift in music, but I was like, I need to be intentional. And of course, I didn't have to stop doing it publicly in order to take that time to be intentional. I could have kept up with it. But the way that I work in my crafts, I have a tendency to put my all in it, especially when it's fresh and it's feeding me. You know, it's more than me just trying to get a dollar. I'm putting my essence when I'm practicing these crafts. So even in the media space now, like I'm still in an area where I have things I need to complete, but I can feel my essence wanting to shift back to those original intentions of knowledge of self and self-love. And I want to respect that, yet I also want to respect that there are things I need to complete. Like with music, I made sure to complete a specific project I was in the middle of before I took a step back. With the movie, I decided to complete like the demo version I was working on before I took a step back and move forward in completing the project. And then now that I'm in this media space, like there are certain things that I'm going to continue to practice it because it gives me a modality of like how to meet new people, how to travel to places, how to produce income, how to just stay in, like the media keeps me involved with music because I'm always editing with tone and like rhythm, yet it also keeps me engaged with images, because whether I'm putting myself in front of the camera or I'm behind the camera, I'm still working in both of that movie and music space. So it's kind of like it went from music to movies to media, and media was really a combination of the movies and the music. So now I'm in a space of, okay, boom, 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 I got these triple M's. I want to put them into something that's like really for me, but also people that are like me. And that's what we're going to get into the next segment, man. That's really where I am right now in my life. So real quick, before we pivot though, of course there were challenges with all of these types of things. Like, you know, a lot of this stuff don't pay a lot up front. You know, money is always a topic of conversation in the creative space. Yet also, you know, community. You know, it takes a lot of front investment and not a lot of initial return on investment when investing into community, man. You know, those relationships are valuable. It takes a lot to build though, and it takes even more to uphold and upkeep, which I could really be doing a better job at, just being completely honest. And then lastly, like what I don't always hear people talk about, I hear people talk about burnout. I don't hear a lot of people talk about how it takes a toll. Doing all this work in all these different areas and putting so much into it and not really receiving the financial, the effort that's getting put in, not receiving the financial output of that from music or movies, it takes a toll. But then when you go to a level of you believe in yourself so much that you're putting your all into it, man, like in every project, that spiritually and energetically takes a toll that I'd have to have a whole nother episode for, just dedicated to that, to be honest. Like it really emotionally made me confront things that I don't feel like I was ready for. You know, spiritually it opened me up to new realms that I didn't know existed. Like starting going back to the beginning, I knew there were knowledge of self, self-love, but also like culture and God, but also with God, there's a universe and there's all these different modalities within spirituality outside of religion. Yeah, I didn't quite know the access points within me when it came to that. So I learned with my creative efforts and pursuits that creativity is a bridge from spirituality. So as I am being creative, I'm also being spiritual because true creativity lives in the spirit. So that's how we impact people when you don't have to touch them. That's how a song, somebody can hear something and become inspired. They can become enraged. They can become in love. They can feel so much just from the energy that you put into a piece or in a movie. The way a certain scene hits from the music and the images and the lighting and the dialogue and the build up and all of those things, it creates spiritual impact. Whether we accept it or not, it's happening. And all of those moments got compiled and I didn't quite know how to process all of them because I was so focused on, okay, I did that, what's next? Because I gotta keep people talking, not just about me, but also like putting energy in the direction of what I want to create. And all of that compiled and like, I spiritually got burnt out, emotionally got burnt out, physically got burnt out. And it was just so much, bro. Like, I'm still recovering. I'm still recovering to say the least. And I also wouldn't trade it for the world, man. That taught me so much about myself, about my powers and what I'm capable of. Yeah. So we'll touch more on those challenges, you know, for future reports, future progress reports. Yet if you do have questions, please leave them below and, you know, I'll put them in a Google Doc and I'll come back to them as I touch on these topics more in depth from all these different areas. So getting to where I am now. Where we are now is the Master Your Code on Life Academy. MYCOL Academy, man. That's where we at. And MYCOL Academy is a culmination of everything that I've been going through, everything that I'm currently going through, and everything that will come. It's a sacred space where we can share not only our journeys, but we can really discover our code. And that's why I pulled that book earlier, Master Your Code, because I feel like so many of us are walking around and we're achieving all of these things, but we don't really know who we are. And I'll give you some examples. Like when it comes to the media space, I put so many people in front of my camera, or I'm on sets where we're putting these cameras on people. And when the cameras are off, they cool. As soon as you hit record, it's like they go like this, they lock up. And it's like, what do you want me to say? And we were just having a full-on, relaxed, free-flowing conversation. And as soon as you know, like other people are watching that are not just in the room, you want to tense up. And it's like, that happens so often. I just started to observe, like, why is that? And then in the movie space, like you'll get people who are, you know, in the space of acting, at least in my experience, I've seen people where when they're not acting, hella chill, hella cool, you know, just regular human beings. But when they come to being an actor, some people become more nervous, which is also, that's normal, especially when you're in love with your craft. Like those nerves, I was watching an Andre 3000 interview on The Shop where he said, somebody said to him that those nerves let you know you're alive. So it's okay to be nervous at times because it's just a rush of letting you know that you're in it, you're in the moment. Allow it to be. Breathe so that you can step through that gateway to create greatness. So, and I'm gonna walk with that advice for the rest of my life. And with that being said, yeah, so some people get nervous, but then other people, like you can tell they're like in rehearsal when acting with people, it'd be like we're fine. But as soon as the camera rolling, you can see them start sweating. It's like, what's going on? We was just rehearsing this and it was fine. What's going on now? So yeah, anyways, but then also you get some people who are good at their craft and they will become, when they were acting, they were bearable, but when they weren't acting, they were just unbearable. I don't know if I'm gonna be cursing on my platforms, but they was hoes, you know? And it was like, bruh, we live in the same city. Like, what are you doing? Like, this ain't ever getting paid for this. Well, why do you have this big ego? Like, you made it somewhere. So it was like, and I'm not, when I say bruh, I ain't just talking about males, women as well. So it's like, and then in music, same scenario. You get people who all like this behind the scenes, but as soon as they get on stage, they freezing up, and then vice versa. Some hella chill off the stage, but on stage acting crazy. Coming across all these different people from all these different organizations, I was in a space of not only questioning like myself through it all, because I was like, what part do I have to play? Because I also recognize like we're all reflections of one another. Yet also just taking a look at the world around me, like, how do I feel about all these different dynamics going on top of like I said, all that processing I wasn't doing, and all of the emotional, spiritual, physical, like crashing in on me. And I was just like, bro, I need to just breather from all of that. And I came to the conclusion that a lot of people, including myself, will go through these different experiences because we don't truly know ourselves. We don't really know who we are because the world is constantly feeding us who we're not. They're constantly showing us who we're not. And they're constantly paying people to continue to program you to be something that you're not. So you'll continue to feed into the system so they can keep going into that cycle and monetizing your ignorance, our ignorance. And I didn't want to be a part of that program, man. I said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to allow the gifts that God gave me to curse myself and curse my people. And it was hurting the people closest to me. Not even, that's a whole nother conversation to get into later. But like, it was just so much going on that I didn't resonate with. And I was like, you know what? Nah, God, if you brought me to it, you'll bring me through it. If you brought me to it, you'll bring me through it. So bring me through it and bring me to it in a way that is aligned. So when I do come through it on the other side, I'm able to have so much more clarity. I'm able to undergo a transformation and rebirth myself in a way that's even more impactful than what I left. So when I do come into the media space, shooting, it's a whole different landscape. When I do come into the movie space and I'm in front of the camera, it's a whole different landscape. And even in the music, it's a whole different landscape because I'll have knowledge of self, I'll have self-love, which is, yes, a lifelong journey, but it's using these principles that I'm studying from this literature in my life. This literature in my life, bro. Like, when people say hip hop saved my life, I see what they mean because hip hop is saving my life. Financially, it will show. Physically, it will show. Emotionally, it will show. Spiritually, it will show. Yet right now, it's all on the inside. So I might look crazy to you right now, but that's because I'm in a transformation. I'm in the cocoon. So as I'm in this cocoon, I'm also breaking through, you know? And as I come through on the other side, turning into this beautiful butterfly, I want to bring you on the inside of the cocoon because that's one process we don't really see up and close for ourselves. We see the caterpillar, we see it eating, we see it go from larvae to a big fat plump joint, juicy mofo. Go into that cocoon and then it come out and it's like, hold on, what happened? What happened in the space of that darkness? So I'm bringing you in on my darkness, and not all of it because it can be very overwhelming. Yet I'm bringing you in on the aspects that I've been processing, that I've been learning about, and that I'm willing to share because I feel like it might have value. So if you want to learn more, if you want to stay tapped in with these progress reports and just checking in, I'm going to be creating just a program, a academy, MyCol Academy, where we can really learn how to master our codes on life together. And we can go through different modalities that allow us to reshape our mind, reshape our souls, reshape our lives, our destinies, our codes to be the best version of ourselves possible. So we can be a positive impacts on ourselves and a positive impact on the world around us. So I'm super stoked for it. I want to tell you so much more about it. I truly do. But I feel like I've left it off on a place that like we can transition this into another live. Maybe next week, maybe tomorrow. I just say stay tapped in on our YouTube channel. Stay tapped in on our Patreon. YouTube is D-Links Media and MyCOL. That's DLINX MEDIA, D-Links Media, and MyCOL, METAMYCOL. It's the same on Instagram and Facebook. It's the same on Patreon. Well, Patreon is a little bit different. Patreon, we're MyCOL Academy, and that's where like you all will be, our Patreon members, our scholars, you all will be receiving all the updates first because you all in the newsletter will be putting out in some weeks. You all get priority because you're early adopter, you're early investors. So if you don't want to make the investment because you don't see the value yet, look, I get it. I see everybody out there selling a course, selling this and that, and they like, join my newsletter, join my community, da 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 da. We're not doing that in that fashion. But you can join the wait list. So when we do go public with it, you can be the first to know and you can have your, we have shadows. And shadows, like in school, is where you could go in and essentially you could get a peek at what middle school or high school or college would be like for a day. You get to see what the academy is all about for a day and see if it's something that you want to continue to learn more about and invest in, or if it ain't for you. And if it ain't for you, that's cool. There's plenty out there that can be for you. Yet the MyCOL Academy is really for the people who want to master their codes and nurture their growth and find their way on this thing called life. So I thank you for all spending some time with me. Thank you all for being patient with me on this first live. And I pray that, you know, my journey can inspire you to take a shift and even before you take a shift, just take a notice, take an observation of, are you satisfied with your internal life? And then look at it, are you satisfied at your external life? And if either of those answers are no, then please consider joining the academy, getting involved, getting engaged, and just following up with the programming that we're doing, because this could help you. This ain't me trying to sell nothing, but this could help you. So it's helping me regardless. And I'm gonna keep doing it because I feel God started me here, brought me through here, and now like we in a cocoon going crazy. It's a party in this mug. So again, thank you all for your space. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your energy. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them below. And if you want to meet with me one-on-one, I'm also available for some creative consultations. You can hit the link in my bio on Instagram. That's MyCOL, METAMYCOL. And I'll be more than happy to meet with you and we can discuss where you are in your journey and, you know, even talk more about how this programming, MyCOL Academy, can help you. So love you all. Until next time, peace.